Hi, so in this video we will be seeing how we can get historical data by using IBKR API. So let's quickly make a new file. Now we will be copying the code that we have built in our previous session. So I'll just copy this 4 line of code, just paste it here. Now this code will remain same for everything. Okay, so whatever you will be doing with IBKR, you need to have this 4 line of code. Let's go to their official documentation. Okay, so you can see in their example they have provided us a sample code for getting the historical data. So I'll just copy the code and I'll just paste it here. So let's understand one by one what they have. First, contract is there. Now this is we have already discussed how to make a contract. Now if you notice, they have not used the IB qualify contract function. Why? Because it's not a compulsory thing to do. Okay, but I suggest you to do every time, because let's say you have made a contract, but there was some a mistake in making the contract. So there is no way to figure out. IB qualify contract is the only way to figure out if the contract is valid or not. So I will suggest you to always use that function before using it anywhere else. After this contract, they have used this request historical data function. Okay, so this function you will be using whenever you want the historical data. Remember, the function name is request historical data, RIC historical data. Now let's see what are the arguments that you need to send. So these are all the argument you need to send. So let me just quickly copy this stuff. Just comment out everything. Let's understand one by one what are these different arguments that you need to send whenever you're calling the request historical data. So you can see first contract. Okay, so whatever contract you are making, you need to send this contract. Now this contract you can make however you want. You can either use the IB in sync classes like uh, forex, forex, crypto, option and all, or you can use the contract class. Any one you can use. This is the first argument contract. Then the second is end date time. Okay, so let's read it out. It is written that can be set to empty string. So it can be set to empty string to indicate the current time, or it can be given as a date time dot date or date time dot date time, or it can be given a string in this format YYMMDD, HH, and this format. If no time zone in given, then TWS login time zone is used. So let's understand this a little bit more. Okay, so before understanding this, let's run the code and see if you're getting anything. So if I run the code, okay, so it is saying that let's read the error. It is saying that connection peer connection 1 is already in use. Okay, see client 1 is already in use. So let's have some other client, like I'll have 9 and I'll run the code. Yeah, now I can see I've got the data, and just look at the data. First of all, we have this default index 0123. Okay, 0123 index is there, and then the date is 2023 301, and we also have the time. Okay, this is like a hourly data. Let me check what type of data it is. It is hourly data for the last 30 days. This is the data that we have got. Okay, and you can see what data we have got. We have got open, high, low, close, volume, average, bar count. These are all the things that we have got. Okay, so it is working properly fine. So we were discussing about the second argument, that is end date time. Okay, so what they are saying, there are three things that you can send in this. First is you can send date time dot date. Okay, so when do we use date time dot date? When we are not concerned with the time. If we are only dealing with date, so we will write date time dot date type of data. If you are concerned with time also, then you will specify date time dot date time. Okay, or you can also specify a string. Okay, in this format. So this is what you can send in date time dot date time. So let me just show you. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just write a date here. Okay, so right now the date is 12th April. So I will write it in YYMMDD format. So I told you, you can also send a string. So I'll write 2023, then I'll write 04, then let's write 13. Okay, so what it will do, no, not 13, I'll write 11. So yesterday till yesterday, whatever data we have, it is going to send me that data. So let's see if this works or not. So if I run the code, So it is saying some error. So let's have maybe 10. Hmm. So it is saying some error. Let's see what the error is. It is saying the date, time, or time zone entered is invalid. The correct format is YYYY Okay. So I specified YYYMMDD. So I also have to specify the time also. Okay. So let's specify the time. So I'll write space. Hour is, let's have 01 colon. This is also 01 colon 0. So let's run the code again. So you can see I've got the data. So this is how you can specify a string. Let's say you don't want to specify a string, you want a date type of object. So how will you do it? So let me just quickly import it. So I'll show you both. First, I'll use the date type of object, then I'll use the date time type of object. So for that, I need to import date time, import date time. Now I'll make an object, let's say a is equal to date time dot. If you want to create a date object, I'll use the date class. And then in this, I have to specify year. Year is equal to 2023. Month is equal to, let's say 03, write only 3, or let's write 4, or yeah, 4. And day is equal to 10. Now see here we cannot pass a date object. Now you might be asking why. Why? Because we are getting 1 hour data. Okay, if we were only getting daily data, then you can specify the date type. So right now we need to specify date time type of object. So for now I'll just comment it out. I'll show you how to use it in few minutes. So let's have another type of date time. So I'll write date time dot date time. And in this, I will specify everything. What everything? Year, month, day, everything. So let's just quickly do it. I'll write year is equal to 2023. Then month is equal to 4. Day is equal to 10. Then hour is equal to 1. Minute is equal to 1. And second is also equal to 1. So I've made this object. Now instead of sending a string, I'll just write B. And I'll run the code. You'll see I'll get the same answer now. Okay, you see I got the same data. So this is how you can send different argument in end date time. So I'll use A also. Let me show you what happens. So I'm not sure if it will work or not. So I'll just check. I'll write A. I'll run the code. It might work. So let's see. Yeah, even for A it is working. Okay, so you can either specify a string or you can specify a date type or a date time type. So remember this. Then the next argument is duration. So time span of all the bar. Example, you can write 60 second, 30 day, 13 week. So like this, you can specify how much data you want. Okay, so let's say I want 30 days of data. So here I'll write 30 day. Let's say I want only 1 day of 5 day of data. So I'll write 5D like this. So if I run the code, you'll see I'm getting 5 day of data. So this is from 3 to 10. So I've got 5 day of data. Let's say I want 10 day of data. So I'll write 10D. So it will give me 10 day of data. Okay, so let's say I want only 1 day of data. So I'll write 1D, it will give me 1 day of data. So this is how you can specify the duration string. Okay, so if you want a month, so what should you write? So if you want for month, you'll write 1M or like this. So let me just write 1 and I'll write here M. So it will give me 1 hour data for an entire month. So you see, I've got 1 hour data for an entire month. Then bar size setting. So bar size setting, you have to specify candle size. Okay, do you want 5-second candle, 30-second, 1 minute candle? What type of data you want? So right now I have written 1 hour. Okay, so I can also specify something else. Like let's say I want a daily data. Okay, so for day you have to write like this, 1 day. So let's write 1 day. So what I'll do, I'll write here 1 day, and I want 1 month of data. So it means there will be around 30 to 31 number of rows in the data frame. So you see these are, oh, not 30, there are only 20 working days. So these are all the data that I'm getting. Let's say you don't want 1 day of data, but you want, let's take 1 minute of data. Okay, so for 1 minute data, you'll write 1 minute. And let's not go for an entire month, let's go for a day. Okay, so I want 1 day, the 1 day data of 1 minute. Okay, so if I run the code, So you see, this is how the data looks like. So on this ninth, I'm getting minute level data. This is 2001, 2002. Okay, this is how I can get the minute level data. So if you want any other type of data, like maybe you want 15-minute data, so that can also be easily done. I just have to change this to 15. So at 15-minute data, let's say I want not 1 day, but I want 5 day 15-minute data. So if I run the code, okay, it is throwing an error because see, why it is throwing an error? Because if you notice, when it comes to 15, you have to write this S also. Okay, you can say 15 MINS. If it's 1 minute, you only have to write 1 minute, but if it's more than 1 minute, you have to write MINS. So I'll just specify S here and I'll run the code. It should give me 15-minute data for 5 day. Okay, so I hope this is also clear. Then what we have, then we have what to show. Now in this, I'm writing traits. Okay, you can just research about it. It's not that important, so I'm not discussing it. Then use RTH. So it is if true, then only show data from within regular trading hour. So if you place it false, so it will also show you the data when the market is closed. Then format data. So for an intraday request, setting to 2 will cause the return data field to the time zone aware uh, and date time with UTC time zone instead of local time zone used by TWS. So this is also not that important. So either you can specify 2 or you can specify 1. Okay, so it will show you different time zone. Like, if you specify 2, then it will show you a different time zone. What time zone am I talking about? The time zone of that particular stock. Let's say you're dealing with US stock. So whatever time zone that US stock uh, is running, so that time you will show. But if you specify 1, then it will show you whatever time zone your current system is running on. So my system is running on Indian Standard Time, so it will show me data in Indian Standard Time. So not that useful argument, but you can explore it. Then keep up to date. If true, then real time subscription is started. This is also not that important. The last one is also not that important. You just have to specify timeout. So let me explain you what is this. Like, let's say you want lots of data. Let's say you want minute by minute data of 1 year. Now this entire data is lot, right? And you need to specify a timeout that if getting the data takes more than this certain threshold, then you want to stop the transaction, stop the request. So this is where you can specify the timeout. You want to wait max to max 60 second, 1 minute. So you just specify a number in the timeout so that will be the maximum number of second that this function will wait. Once that time exceeds, then this will stop that request. Okay. So more or less, these are all the functions that are important. These are all the arguments that are important. Other arguments are not that important. So I hope this is clear. Now let's try some other stock. So this was for Forex. Let's use some other stock. So what I'll do, I'll take some, let's take some option contract. Okay, so I'll just scroll down. Let's get this option contract. So I'll just copy this single line. I'll just copy all the 4 line. And instead of using the Forex, I'll use this contract. So I'll just paste it and I'll write here instead of QC, I'll write contract. So what I will get now, I will get for this contract. Wait, I need to remove this. So I will be getting 5 day worth data, okay, or 15-minute of that contract. So let's see if I'm getting it or not. So it will take, okay, it is saying list object has no attribute include expired. Maybe some, okay, let me do one thing. I'll just make it an empty string in the code again. It's throwing an error. Let me check what the error is. I'll do one thing. Let me just run it one more time. Okay, so this is working properly fine. This one is not working. Okay, for some reason the option one is not working. So let's try some other contract. So I'll try some basic contract like index. So index should work, I guess. I'll just copy this index. Paste it. Let's run the code. Oh, yes, I remember. I have to add square bracket 0, right? If you remember, we were getting a list, right? So in that list, I want a single element. So square bracket 0 is needed. And it is showing me none. Okay. It might be because my current data is not working, but let me just try some other stock. Like I'll write Reliance, and this will not be index. This will be stock. So let's try Reliance. So Reliance, it is working. Okay. Let's try some other stock like maybe Infi. So if I run the code, even the Infi should work. Okay. Now let's see the contract one more time. Let's see the option contract one more time. All right. So I'll just copy the option contract. Before moving to option, let's try the future contract first. So future is working properly fine. You can see I've got the Bank Nifty future data. Let's try contract one more time. No, this is again future. Let me copy. This is the option contract. Oh, wait, I made a mistake. I just copied it somewhere else. I need to copy it here. So let's run the code. So even for option, it is working. I don't know why it was not working just now. But yeah, even for option, you can get historical data in this way. So I hope this is clear. Okay, so what we have done, we have seen how we can use the request historical data function. In this function, there are 5 important argument. One is contract. You have to specify the contract. Then end date time. End date time can be anything. It can be a date type. It can be a string. It can be a date time type of data. Then what to show, how many days of data you want 1 day, 5 day, 100 day, 1 month, whatever you want, you can specify it here. Then bar size, do you want 15-minute candle, 30-minute candle, that you can specify here. And then what to show, do you want midpoint or any other data, and use RTH if you want only the regular trading hour data. So this is how you can get the historical data. Yeah, one more thing I forgot to explain, that is this line 2202 and 23. Now whenever you print this bar, okay, so what I'll do, let me show you. So I'll just comment this out and I'll just print bar. And if you see, look at the bar, you will see this is a raw data. I'll just show you. So this is the raw data. So if you wish to convert this raw data into a data frame, so this is where these two lines are used. So in future, whenever you will see these two line of code, it means we are converting a raw data into a data frame. Okay. So if I run the code again, you'll see that this raw data will be shown in a proper data frame format. So I hope these two lines are also clear.